Namaste, beloveds. This is Motherwood Wisdom, and this is a continuation video of a blog talk radio show that I just did on Mother's Day. And the title of it is Let's Look Beneath the Layers of Objectification and Sexualization That's Rising Up. And, beloveds, I will put the link to this radio show in the description box. Okay, I want to get into it. Basically, what I did with the radio show was I kind of asked the ancestors to give me the information that needed to come forth. And the card that came forth, I was thinking I would, because it was Mother's Day, use the grandmother's card in the Medicine Woman Tarot deck. But Spirit said no, use the Trickster card, which is number 15. Please pay attention to this card, beloveds. Pay attention to all that is present. Pay attention to the colors. Pay attention to what is happening. Pay attention to the shadows and the contrasts, as well as the 3 images that are in the doorway or by the doorway, and the one that is sitting and the 2 that is standing, and the one that is over here walking away with a bundle. Okay? In the original tarot deck, this is called the Devil card. In the Medicine Woman deck, it is called the Trickster. It is number 15. And I want to get directly into reading it and speaking on it because it has a very particular message for the time, for the present moment that we're currently in, this cycle, in this season of our existence as conscious, as spiritual beings, raising our spiritual conscious awareness, which is ascending and rising up within ourselves. And so in this ascending and rising up, we are rebelling against the previous way of knowing ourselves, our ego selves. We're rising up from that. We're rising away from that. We're rebelling against that. And I want to just get into it, okay? 15, Trickster. The number and meaning, 15. Realization of bondage begets liberation. What does that mean? That means the moment that you realize you are in bondage, that you are in a cage, that something is restricting you, that you are in prison, is the moment you are aware of the contrast, and you begin to look into finding a way to liberate yourself, to free yourself from your current imprisoned existence. So just with the knowing comes the rebellion, okay? With the knowing comes the consciousness. You being fully present in the moment with the facts. Not the thoughts and the feelings, but the facts. This is what is meant by realization of bondage. Begets liberation. Okay? So the traditional name of this tarot card, like I said, is the Devil card. And it blew my mind when Mama said, no, this is the card that needs to come forth on Mother's Day. And I'm like, okay, you know better than I. Your wisdom is way better than mine. So, okay, Medicine woman energy is captivated by the trickster. And so, captivated by the trickster, that means we are entertained by the trickster. That means we are in the domain of the trickster. We are in the presence, we are aware that we are in the presence of the trickster. Okay? The trickster is putting on a show for us, and we are integrated. We're viewing it as well as participating in it, consciously, subconsciously, and unconsciously. Pay attention to what the medicine woman's energy of this particular card is. This particular energy, this particular trickster, this particular devil, this particular egoic energy, this I am energy that wants to assert itself over you, be sovereign master over you. We're captivated by that. That's what this medicine woman energy is saying. So we have made the trickster our mother, and we are feeding from its conscious awareness, its spiritual conscious awareness. Okay? Pay attention to all that is coming forth. Free yourself of judgment, critiquing everything right now. Just listen. Just take it in. Then reflect upon it. Then weed out what's for you and what's not. And then expand upon that. Okay? Everything that I'm getting ready to say is not for you. And that's okay. But it's seeded. And when it's time, it'll grow, or it'll nourish what needs to be nourished. It'll be in your subconscious and unconscious, whether you're conscious of it or not. And it will help you expand your spiritual conscious awareness. That's the mothering nature of it. Okay? That's what is meant by we're captivated. We're held in that space. We're held in that season. We're held in that multiverse. We're held in that chaos. We're also held in that stillness, all at the same time. The knowing and the not knowing. The being present and the not being present. Understand yourself in these terms. Understand existence itself in these terms. Okay. Captivated by the trickster. Why would anyone want to be captivated by the trickster? We'll get into that in a little bit later because that comes with the art of war. I was told to read something from the art of war, so I'll do that a little bit later. But that'll get into being captivated by the trickster. So write that down and remember that. Being captivated by the trickster. Okay? This is the affirmation of this card. And beloveds, this affirmation is empowering. It is so empowering. If I were you, I would write it down or type it up, and I would print it and I would put it in places where it's easily viewed, and I would make it a mantra, because it is truly that powerful. It is truly that freeing. It is truly a key to unlocking some things. Learn to use your words to unlock your spiritual superpowers, or your spiritual presence, or your spiritual attention, your spiritual conscious awareness, so that you are more focused, and more present in the moment, and not just here, there, and everywhere. Okay? This is the affirmation. The primal will to heal within me is stronger than any thought, thing, person, disease, habit, or practice that attempts to rule my life. I do now fully realize my power to change all that appears to oppress me. How powerful is that, beloveds? How powerful is that? The primal will. Primal means first. Prime means first. Before you had ego knowledge of form. Before you had ego knowledge of gender, of race, of planetary location, you had within your conscious awareness a primal will to heal. That is what needs to be nourished. That is what needs to be fostered. That is what needs to be, look at it as it's a well of water, and it's sunk deep within you. That's what you need to bring up. That's the living waters. That primal will, that primal spiritual will to heal. And to understand that that is stronger than the illusions, than the delusions, than the lies that we tell ourselves, that we see, that we're captivated, that breaks us down on a cellular level daily. The things that we allow to break our hearts, to cause us pain, to cause us confusion, to cause us dis-ease within our skin, within our spirit. Our primal will to heal is stronger than any of that. But in order to tap into that, you've got to be spiritually conscious, aware of yourself, primally. That's that higher self that existed before form, before gender, before the planet Earth, before the sun was formed, before the moon was formed, that has no beginning and has no ending. Excuse me. Okay, beloved, sorry about that. Let me get back focused and centered where I was. The primal will to heal, and the realization of the self as expanding your conscious awareness, answering your self-inquiry, okay? And I'm just going to read this again. This is the affirmation. The primal will to heal within me is stronger than any thought, thing, person, disease, habit, or practice that attempts to rule my life. I do now fully realize my power to change all that appears to oppress me. So existence exists, beloveds. Polarities exist. Contrast exists in order for you to expand your spiritual conscious awareness. Okay? In order for you to grow, in order for you to mature, in order for you to get the practice that you need in ascending, you're going to also descend. You're going to need to know how to raise yourself up when you fall. So you're going to fall. No one can stop that from happening. No one can stop the failures. No one can stop the disappointments. Just understand that it's part of the process and that you have the ability to rise from it. You have the ability to heal from it. And it is your reaction to the healing process that brings forth the consciousness of thousands of ancestors. You are never alone with your attempts at expanding your conscious awareness and being present. Understand that spirit is always with you, always speaking to you, always got you, okay? Always helping you balance. It's only when you doubt that you fall. The card speaks, I am the force given power when one assumes the attitude that the material world rules her. I am the force given power when one assumes the attitude that the material world rules her. Again, this is the devil card. This is the trickster. This is the energy that is automatically given power when one assumes the attitude that this material world has more value, has more power than the spiritual world. You manifest the devil. That devil is what puts you in defensive mode. It is the contrast that you need to see that you are the light, to bring yourself back out of that darkness of this illusion of a world into the light of the truth. I am given power when you look only backward to that which has been your experience, and when you allow those previous apparent failures to rule your walking. That is so powerful, beloveds. I am given power. This devil, this trickster, this energy, this negative force, this darkness is given power only when you're looking backwards. When you're looking backwards, when you're looking from where your ancestors have come, when you're looking at what has been done to them, when you're looking at the labels that were placed upon them, when you're still living in the suffering that they suffered, when you're still reliving, reanimating, re-energizing those negative devils, energies, then you're creating, materializing a false world, a false reality in which the devil, who is in the details, magnifies and can attack you. But when you begin to look past that and look forward into the future where you now know who you are as a spiritual being, you realize the suffering that you came through to the point of where you are now. And you understand that you have everything that you need to go and recreate a better world, a better realm, one that is not constantly looking backwards at the tragedies and at the trauma, but one that is able to heal, one that is able to keep you out of being the victimized captive of the trickster, one that keeps you out of his grip. And we have You know I'm going to put Jesus up in here because it is the Christ consciousness, okay? That being was born with the Christ consciousness. That Christ consciousness informed him intuitively and instinctively, spiritually, how to exist in this world, how to see and how to allow the senses to be present, but allow the spirit to dominate and rule. Let the wisdom of the spirit do that. And let the ego sit in the back seat. And it's going to yak, 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 yak. But when the trickster came up, when that devil came up, the Christ consciousness said, it is by God's word. It is by the prophets and the prophecy. It is by the word of God. It is not about what you think or what you feel is of value. This is the difference between knowing and not knowing. That's what that Christ consciousness is. And that is the consciousness that needs to bloom and blossom within you. That is what you need to resurrect, because this world will kill it. It will crucify it within you. And you have to resurrect it. And once you resurrect it, you have to then begin to create your heaven upon this earth through your spiritual conscious awareness and through your compassion and understanding, and not generalizing everyone, but understanding everyone is connected, but also everyone is individually on their own way and on their own mission of finding themselves, finding that spiritual Christed consciousness aspect within themselves. And they're going to deny it so many times, and they're going to die because of it so many times. But there's going to come that one time when they're going to say, okay, I'm ready. And they're going to make that stand. And they're going to accept that reality when they come to the realization, that spiritual realization, that this is the way, this is the truth, this is the light, this is what I am. I am that. And once you realize you are that, you no longer want to be the other. There is no other. The other is ignorance. Okay, let me keep going, beloveds. I am the force given power when one assumes the attitude that the material world rules her. I am given power when you look only backward to that which has been your experience, and when you allow those previous apparent failures to rule your walking. Devil is lived, spelled backwards. It is living and looking only to that, to what has been. In other words, it is really the opposite of living, which is a moving forward. You are chained by the point of view that what is out there limits you. You can transmute this devil by realizing that the past can be transcended. That is the promise of the Messiah, the promise of the Savior. The past can be transcended. That is the hope of mankind. The sorcerer Don Juan spoke of a warrior as one having no personal history, but by this he meant that to be a person of power, one must let go of the memory of one's own failures. You must reevaluate. You must revalue. You must live and go forward. Again, beloveds, we are told the way is forward. And you cannot go forward by continually to look backwards. You have to understand those that want you trapped in a past are literally, physically, metaphysically, spiritually chaining you to a past that has no future. Because you can't see forward. You can only see backwards. You can only relive that loop. You can only reawaken to that Groundhog Day every single day. That is the trick that is used. That is your past. That which they say, you cannot escape your past. You don't have to escape your past. You let it go. Existence exists. Leave it in the past. I am no longer that person. I died. I'm born anew. That person didn't have a Christ consciousness. I have a Christ consciousness. One that is expanding. One that is compassionate. One that is understanding of what unconditional love is. One that recognizes a lie and a liar a little bit easier. And one that's not taking that personally, because it has nothing to do with me, my flesh, myself, or I. That's you rebelling against spirit, against your own existence. That's self-hate. Been there, done that. But no one can tell you. You have to realize that on your own. And you are the only one that can make changes to that when you do. Let's keep going, beloveds. Reevaluate the value. Revalue what you consume. What you allow to consume you. What you are captivated by. Okay? It feeds upon you. It values you. You have more value to it by suffering and staying trapped in the past because you feed it. But once you come up out of that fog, out of that abyss, you are a light being. You are filled with light. And it can no longer tolerate consuming you. It can no longer be fed by you. It's still attracted, but it can't feed on you because you give it no quarter. You don't allow it in through your realization of your own power, of your conscious existence as a spiritual being, expanding beyond the limitations of space and time, beyond the limitations of gender, beyond the limitations of a race or a culture that forces you to do what? Remain in a past life, projected period, time, place, suffering, age, force. When you break free of that, you break free of that. All that appears to have limited you on the material plane, whether laws or people or situations must be made into your benefactors by your own mental processes. When you begin to use your primal will to heal, you heal not only yourself, but all those around you. And don't become distracted by the confusion and the chaos, because that is meant to distract you from your focus on healing. That is meant to pull you back into the suffering. That is meant to cover you back in the shit that you didn't wash yourself and got clean off of. Be careful. Be vigilant. Stay in your awareness, in your realization, in your presence of your primal will. That is your primal identity. That is the wisdom of the truth of who you are. That is your power. And that is your principality from which you wage spiritual war in the stillness against the chaos. That is what containing that yin and yang is. Okay, that is what that Big Bang is all about, baby. Let me keep going. You must live and go forward. Devil spelled backward is live. So when that devil come at you, whatever form it takes, whatever lie it takes, turn it around. Don't get it twisted. Live. Live. Live forward. You know how that movie that's saying pay it forward? Pay it forward, baby. Pay it forward. All that appears to have limited you on the material plane, whether laws or people or situation, must be made into your benefactors by your own mental process. That takes me to that scripture, paraphrasing here. The first will be last and the last will be first. All that appears to have limited you on the material plane, whether laws or people or situations, must be made into your benefactors. That was prophesied long ago. When you began to know yourself, when you began to stand in the awareness of yourself as a spiritual being, as a cosmic force, not some victimized slave or some seed that came hurtling from nowhere with no tether or nothing around it. No mother, like a motherless child. When you realize, oh, that mother is spirit, baby. The devil then becomes merely the trickster, causing you to look at yourself and discover where you are caught by the world. Where are you caught by the world? Are you caught up in the clothes, in the jewelry, in the bling bling, in the wigs, in the makeup? The make-up, in the illusion, in the filters? Are you caught up in attracting what? What is trending? What is popular in the world? Or that which is going to expand your spiritual conscious awareness? That which is going to bring you inner peace? Regardless of, how you play house and have everything, oh, this is right. Everything is in its proper place. Everything is in order. Everything looks so nice. But everything is empty as fuck. Everything is rotten. Everything is diseased. Everything is dysfunctional. No matter how pretty it looks on the outside. My grandma taught me that lesson long ago. Baby, don't look at the outside. That box, maybe that gift may be wrapped up in all kind of ribbons and pretty and big, and that's the one you think you want, but the real treasure is in that little brown lunch bag. What's in that box, that big old box with the pretty ribbons and the unicorns and the sparklies, that's a piece of dog shit. Don't go by appearances. Don't go by appearances. Don't go by what you think or what you feel. Okay? Realization is the conclusion, is the summation, is the ending. It is what you know. It's not what you think you know. Get to that place and understand you're going to stumble and you're going to fall and you're going to bust your tail wide open down to the white meat on the way. But get there. Get there. This is what came up on Mother's Day. This is what I did the Blog Talk Radio show on. This was connected to the E. Jean Caroll, Donald Trump, E. Jean Carroll's black husband, and Donald Trump's father. All of this, like I said, this past, it's so interwoven in belief systems, in the presence of keeping us locked in a cage of past. Even with Donald Trump trying to keep E. Jean Caroll, you're not my type. Who are you? I don't know you. You're just a woman. I'm rich. I'm a star. I get to do what I want. I can grab what I want to. Why? Because this is what's in his past memories. This is what's in his heart. This is what's in his genetic disposition. This is what's in his conscious awareness of himself as a being. And this is what he forces upon everyone else. And so when his trickster, when his devil speaks to him, he believes that's the truth. And even when he doesn't believe that's the truth he gonna go on anyway. And you see that in the way that he lives. And in the world that he creates, in the chaos that he creates, that he fornicates and adulterates and gives birth to and conceives. And it leaves behind all these little bastard, deformed demons that everybody else has to deal with because they're infected by it. Because so many of them, I don't know what to believe. I believe Donald Trump. Yeah, I believe I believe him. Why? Because that's what's in their genetic well. That's what's in their consciousness. It rings true to them. You can't do nothing about it, and you will not be able to convince them. That's not your job. Your job is to find your well, your truth, what rings true for you, and to stand up and stand still in that, to be that, to radiate that. that way, so that others who are falling and struggling, oh, they can see that light from your lighthouse. They can see that sun and that moon. Okay? They can watch you and understand, oh, this is a progressive story. Okay, all right. Nothing's going to be fixed overnight. This is an eternal story. Okay. Birth, death, rebirth. Got it. You may want to rebel against outside forces that appear to harm you, but the only true revolution is evolution of consciousness. How deep is that? How beautiful is that? I played yesterday couple of Tupac's songs, Dear Mama, and one of his songs, the album itself, was called Evolution. You may want to rebel against outside forces that appear to harm you, but the only true revolution is evolution of consciousness. Tupac was swerved, was sold, was swayed by the Machiavellian approach, that it's better to be feared than to be loved. Yet, when he spoke of his mama and her love, he had the fear and he had the wisdom of fear of his mama to know that she would do her best to set him straight. But he also understood this world is what she was fighting against. And he understood, as a black male coming up through that, that you want to rebel against it, against those outside forces that appear to harm you. But the only true revolution is evolution of consciousness. And once he truly saw that, he was murdered. Before he could put out more on what he was seeing and becoming aware of, he was murdered. Understand how this world works. Why? Because it doesn't want you to move forward. It wants to keep you in the past. Material experience follows mental experience. Material experience follows mental experience. That is so deep. I want you to memorize that. I want you to meditate just upon that. Material experience follows mental experience. What you think materializes. You with your powerful self. You magnetize things to you. You create situations and circumstances. They materialize out of thin air. We call it synchronicity and this and this and that. No, it's you. It's you. It's your consciousness. And you're not even fully conscious of what your consciousness is able to do. You're afraid. We're afraid of ourselves spiritually. And so we remain caged and locked up in ignorance of the past. We're still fighting the same wars. You know why? It's to keep us away from the realization of our primal will to heal. If we are kept broken, the powers that want you to, the trickster powers, want you to think you're hopeless, you're alone, you're broken, and that you brought this suffering upon yourself because of your own wants and desires and needs for pleasure, for comfort, for love, for peace, and the compromises that you made. Realization takes away the illusion of lies. No one can tell you, oh, you're this, this, and that, when you know you're not. Consciously aware, spiritually consciously aware that you are an eternal being, even if this flesh dies, even if a limb is cut off, even if you go blind, even if you're in a coma, your consciousness is still there absorbing everything. Beyond space and time. That's who you are. Stop letting others exist in their otherness and try to bring you into that. Stay in your paradise. Stay in your peace. Stay in your spiritual conscious awareness. Stay in the presence of unconditional love. Stay in the presence of Source and Creator. Stay in the presence of abundance. And know that everything must give way. Everything has a cycle and a season. So it's not about giving up or giving up hope on someone. It's just not their time to grasp that just yet. But they'll get there, just like you did. Let me keep going, beloved. Material experience follows mental experience. Black is beautiful is the mental construct that changed the consciousness that freed Black people from bondage. Women's liberation encompassed the idea and image of women as a large group, 51% of the population, worthy of respect and self-love. This concept was the inspiration leading to the actions leading to freedom from oppression. Beloveds, like I said, the past wants to hold you hostage, captive, prisoner, in shackles, in the chains, in the diamonds. Let that stuff go. Let go of what is attached to it. Start visualizing a future. A world without lack. A world where race and culture are things of another age, of the dark ages. that we don't have to, existence doesn't have to exist in boxes, in labels, in good and bad and this and that in order to exist, in order to be understood, in order to prosper, in order to be consumed, in order to be recognized. Understand what this is saying. The mental construct that changed the consciousness, that freed Black people from bondage, was spirituality. My skin may be black, but I am a spirit. I am a spiritual being. And because I am a spiritual being, there's hope. And I am going to rise. I am going to evolve. I am going to stop this shit. And I am going to use this shit as spiritual fertilizer. And I'm going to evolve. And my children's children will know what freedom is. Because they will know that they are spirit beings first and foremost. And that spirit must be recognized and revered and honored. The devil is faulty observation. The devil is in the detail. The devil is faulty observation. Superficial reasoning that gives physicality more power than spirituality. Because our senses say, this is what is real. This is what we're taught from infancy. See, we come as infants, we're able to see both worlds, both realities. But we're taught, this is the one that matters. This is the only one that matters. How did that go again? We're captivated by the trickster of materialization, the trickster that captivated by matter. Thus we're contained in matter, and it holds us. And we have to rebel against that by saying, I'm spirit. This flesh is not my cage. It's my skin. It's my container. It is not the truth of me. It is but one aspect of me. One minute aspect of me, of my sensitivity, my sensory awareness, consciousness. But there is much more higher depth to me than physical, material matters. The devil is faulty observation, superficial reasoning that gives physicality more power than spirituality. Remember, the body dies easily. The spirit is infinite. This stage of growth means moving beyond appearance, experiencing beyond the senses. Sexuality is more than sensation. I go into great detail on that on the the Blog Talk Radio Show. It's as plain as day. It's as prophetic as it is. It is as powerful a statement as there ever can be. Sexuality is more than sensation. The world is sexualized by sensations, by images, by sounds, by touches, by textures. But true sexuality is not contained by the senses. It goes beyond the senses. It goes beyond what you sense. It goes into what you know. And it is that knowing that is the union that creates the oneness. That allows the spirit to communicate, the spirit to multiply itself. Goes beyond sex. Humankind is so lost in its senses. That's why it has such a hard time with true spirituality. Because true spirituality goes beyond appearance. Appearance is nothing but senses. What you see, what you feel, what you taste, what you touch, what you hear. It's very limited when you limit yourself there to that in your physicality. But as a spiritual being, when you are spiritually, consciously, sexually, sensually aware, there is nothing that you do not connect with. Stop letting people fool you. The devil is faulty observation. Superficial reasoning that gives physicality more power than spirituality. This stage of growth means moving beyond appearance, experiencing beyond senses. Sexuality is more than sensation. Life is more than the material plane. The devil dies to life. The devil dies to life. It means all this submission and bondage and sadomasochistic blah, 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 blah. What are you keeping alive? What is holding you captive? What is keeping you in its cage of memory? Because you can't let it go. Senses. The devil dies to life. You have lived the chains when you understand. You have lifted the chains when you understand this. In the original tarot card, the devil card is a very deep card. You can go online and you can Google that card for yourself, the devil card. And you'll see a male and a female there with the portrayal of the image of the devil. And they're chained together. There's so much there. There's so much here that you need to be spiritually conscious, aware of in order to expand, in order to rebel, in order to break free, in order to liberate yourself out of your sensual, sensory prison. That's why you rely so much on what somebody else is going to think about your appearance. If they're going to approve, if you're attractive. Liberate yourself. This is what is imprinted upon you throughout all the lives and lifetimes of your ancestors. You are the one. You are the Savior. You are the one capable of the Christ consciousness. Expand it. Break free. And as you begin to do that within your own, you liberate others. That's what Marianne Williams said in that famous Mandela speech. Who are you not to be gorgeous? Who are you not to let your light shine? Who has told you that you don't have a light? That your light is worthless because you're a certain size, because you're a certain gender, because your skin is a certain complexion or tone. The devil is faulty observation. So do you understand what's looking at you? From your perspective, you're the devil. You are also the God within. And you need to know this about yourself. It is your spiritual conscious awareness that will free you. And that is your choice. Do I rather be the devil? Or do I rather be the God? The devil dies to life. That means the devil lives to death. It celebrates death. It promulgates death, conceives way to die. It emphasizes death and dying and the sensations thereof. It glamorizes them, glorifies them, so that you're selling your soul to death, to stay in that death cycle. The devil, death, doesn't exist in the living. You give power. You take power away. As you come to know me as the trickster, you will discover that I capture your compassion by leading you into situations where you experience the inequities of the world. You are drawn to change them. As you see that others suffer with you, your heart takes a spiritual step. Do you understand what compassion is? So many people say, well, why does God allow the suffering to happen? This is the wisdom of contrast. This is the wisdom of polarities and dualities. This is the wisdom of your existence itself as existence. And you have to understand the whole and the holy. by looking at it all instead of just the fragmented pieces that are scattered here and yonder. Be still with yourself. Know who you are. Attach yourself to that primal will. When somebody say, oh, you ain't shit, baby, I am the shit. I have always been the shit, and I will always be the shit. And the shit that I am, you wouldn't understand if I broke it down for you, because you're not there yet. And that's your shit that you've got to deal with. But I'm dealing with my shit, and if you want to say I ain't shit, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. I don't deny you yours. Existence exists. Everything is a teacher. Even the funk, even the stank, even the dank, even the dark, even the rotten putrid is a teacher. Penicillin is a healer. Don't let nobody tell you differently. Know thyself. This is so powerful. This came up on Mother's Day. Mother's Day. Let's keep going. As you come to know me as the trickster, existence exists. You will discover that I capture your compassion. What you say is not fair. What you say others have to suffer. You begin to have compassion. You begin to empathize. You begin to sympathize. You begin to do what? You begin to change. Change what? Your spiritual conscious awareness becomes activated. And through that activation, you no longer generalize. You no longer are desensitized. You no longer dehumanize another being. That's a spirit. Whether it's a reptilian, whether it's from Sirius, whether it's Palladian, whether it's from planet ZXYK. It's a spirit being. It serves a purpose in existence. I respect its existence as existence, but it has no power over me. As you see the others suffer with you, your heart takes a spiritual step. When you have moved beyond blame, beyond the idea of devil and the expression of rage at an unfair world, your heart begins to transform the energy of anger into the action of love. That goes back once again to Marianne Williamson's A Return to Love. That goes back to A Course in Miracles. That goes back to the Bible. Whatever translation you prefer. I prefer the message version. It's more contemporary. I have tricked you into becoming a compassionate being. We got to be tricked into becoming compassionate beings. You think not? In the Bible, you got the Israelites being taken from Egypt. They have all these plagues. They have all these supernatural occurrences. They walk through the Red Sea. They're being fed with manna falling down. One of their people was raised an Egyptian prince. But none of that is good enough. None of that convinces them. There are still a great majority of them who blaspheme and die, who are burnt up, who the serpents kill. Moses is so fed up with them, he don't even get to go to the promised land. When you have moved beyond blame, beyond the idea of devil, and the expression of rage at an unfair world, your heart begins to transform the energy of anger into the action of love. I have tricked you into becoming a compassionate being. Do you understand wisdom? Wisdom shouts in the marketplace. Wisdom got to trick you into knowing yourself. Been there, done that, still learning. I have tricked you into becoming a compassionate being. Only now are you able to truly help the world. Your heart will reach for the spirit. Once you have been thoroughly tricked by the devil, the ego, and you have transcended your own spiritual conscious awareness, and you've expanded your heart, and you've gotten past your sensation of rage and anger and sense of this and that and what you've suffered and and all the everything around it. And once you have compassion for yourself, and once you have compassion on others that are suffering trauma, now you're ready to help the world. Now you've been activated. Your primal will is back in action. You've reconnected that cord. You've plugged into that cosmically. And you began to use that more often. You began to, when things, that devil's still gonna come, okay? And you're gonna say, get thee behind me, Satan, it is written in my primal will that I will heal this world. Watch me. Watch me. Watch me and know I am the past, I am the present, and I am the future. I am that storm. And no, I don't fear it myself. I'm learning to revere myself unconditionally. Self-questioning. Whom do I blame when something goes wrong? Do I look to myself? Do I check out my own beliefs to see how they brought the situation to me? Am I called to anger or to action that might make correction? Do you self-correct? Are you mature enough to say, oops, I pooped my pants, I need to be cleaned? Or, oops, that was me. Or, I that shitty mess, that was my shitty mess. Let me clean it up. What can I do to help clean up the shitty mess that I helped made or I made? Or you just go about doing it. You don't even have to say nothing. People, what you doing? Oh, nothing. And you just clean up the shitty mess that you made. You don't need nobody's, oh, that a boy, go ahead, blah, blah, blah. You're doing it on your own. Exercise. Recall a situation where you felt oppressed by forces outside yourself. List 3 other possible ways you could have interpreted, valued the situation. Now consider the results of each way of valuing. See, this is getting back to being captivated by the trickster and then twisting, the lie into the truth. Rewind back to the original. Back to the way it's supposed to be. Do it as many times as you need to in order to know that you got the power. It comes from you. It don't come from nobody else. But you have to value it. See, you can't value the material stuff more than you value your spiritual inheritance. Meditation. Allow an image of someone toward whom you hold a resentment to come to mind. Release this person from your resentment by taking off the chains by which your feeling attempts to bind them. Understand that your feelings, you chain people to you with your resentment for what they did to you. You hold them to you. You hold them in your space, in your spirit, in your conscious awareness, whether they want to be there or not. They probably didn't moved on, don't even care, don't even remember what they did, said, or nothing. But you have them rooted in that space so that you can hold on to your resentment. So that you can stay trapped in the past of that feeling, of that sensation of being done wrong. So that you can feel that you were vindicated in being you and that they just did you so wrong. Understand how the devil captivates and how you are the devil that chains others to you, to your frequency, you magnetize them there every time you relive that situation and you blame them. You are you're making that chain stronger and stronger and stronger through your resentment. Okay? It's your emotion that's hooked into them. Regardless of what they did, you hold them in your energy field by your resentment. Deep. That's what deep is. That's why forgiveness, it's not about them. It's about you. It's about loving yourself. It's about letting go. It's about releasing the shit. Not holding on to shit forever and a day. Release this person from your resentment by taking off the chain by which your feeling attempts to bind them. In this way, you forgive them and release yourself in the same time. Place the situations in the hand of a higher power. You curse yourself by cursing them. Those that are so thinking they're so deep in the curses and the this and the that and the this and the that and the that and the this. Cosmic laws. What you put out comes back to you. That same resentment, that's what you hold into you. That's what's killing you. That's what's got your blood pressure going up. That's what's got your cancer being reactivated in your body. That's what's killing your organs. It's not them. It's not a curse or something that they did to you. No, it's your thoughts and your feelings. Holding that resentment, that poison, and poisoning yourself because you can't let it go. So it has power over you. You're self-fulfilling your own curse. Let it go. Give it to God. Put the shit in the ground. Bury it. Let the earth have it. Let the earth transmute it. Let it go. Walk away. Visualization. Think of a situation in your present life where you feel overpowered by the world, victimized by what seems uncontrollable. Allow the knowledge of what you can really do to come to mind. If it doesn't present itself immediately, make up a fantasy of your own self taking power and control over this aspect of your life. See the fantasy through to its successful completion. If you weren't pleased with how you handled it in your first fantasy, begin again and come up with an alternative method. I'm a writer. I have expressed liberation in a million ways, in a million different words. And it didn't matter if my name was attached to it or not. Because spirit don't need a name. It don't need a form. It don't need a face. It's a force. If you weren't pleased with how you handled it in your first fantasy, begin again and come up with an alternative method. Do this until you find one that makes you feel good, as opposed to vindicated. That makes you feel good. That puts you at peace. That brings stillness, that brings calmness, that brings balance. Rather than, I'm right. See, I was right. I was right. I knew I was right. I was right all along. Me. The devil is in the detail, baby. Give the glory to God. Give the glory to the Creator. Understand the grace and the blessings of which you flow and which you belong. And understand the helpers that are there that you don't see. It's not always about you. That's some narcissistic stuff. That's the contrast. That's the devil in the details. I really had to learn that lesson and let go of the resentment. Sometimes it still creeps, but I put it down, let it go. Valerie, that's shit. What, you going to collecting shit now? It's not enough that you gotta go collect old shit. Let this shit go, girl. Conscious awareness, Spiritual conscious awareness. You picked it up, put it down. Okay. It's retraining yourself. It's re-imaging, re-knowing, recommitting yourself to yourself. Be present. Unchained. It is easy to feel trapped, limited by circumstances, poor because no one will give you a job, hungry for lack of a handout, and so on. There seem to be the endless restraints on us in the veil of tears, as life is sometimes called. Chickamauga Cherokee, the veil of tears. The astrological sign of this card is Capricorn. That's what I forgot. And in the Blog Talk Radio, that came across as having extreme significance. So it has extreme significance here too, beloveds. And I advise you to do your due diligence. Okay? Indeed, for all practical purposes, life can be a struggle, full of sorrow and pain. Why is this so? Once again, I am drawn to play with the word evil and transpose the first two letters, creating veil. These worldly evils are a veil that hang over our eyes, while our consciousness clings to the belief that it is through material means that our liberation comes. You understand? The devil is in the details. That trickster, the ego, this is me. The material world matters more than the spiritual world. Wake up. Hello. No. The spiritual world is the real world. The spiritual world incarnated into the physical world. The physical world didn't incarnate into the spiritual world. There's a hierarchy there. There's a wisdom there. Know what it is that clings. Okay? Know what it is that wants to attach. That is addicted to the attachment. That needs and wants. Okay? Spirit doesn't need and want. It is. Simply is. Thoughts and feelings need and want. Matter wants form. Form wants sensation, sexualization, and objectification. Affects form, not spirit. When you see those that cling to form, know that they're diminished in their spiritual powers and their spiritual abilities because their light is diminished. Oh, I love that play. Okay, let me stop. Deep. We struggle to make more money, believing money will wipe out the feeling of poverty. I say feeling because the amount of material wealth one is happy with can be far below what is called the poverty level. We struggle. As a child, I grew up as a migrant's child. I've told that story. My first understanding of community was living in a communal dwelling where we had white chamber pots, and me and my auntie, who was 8 years older than I, had to go and empty them out each morning and wash them out. That's where we peed and pooped in. And everybody in the little community had them. I was poor. But I didn't learn till much later, till I started going to school, what poor was. And that I didn't want to be poor. Poor was a bad thing to be. But before that, life was beautiful. It was what it was. And then my eyes got opened and I'm poor. I'm less than. I'm other. I want to be like everyone else. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be ugly. I don't want to be this and I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a girl. Why? Because the trickster had captivated me beyond my spiritual conscious awareness, which was still talking to me, by the way, but which I was learning to get farther and farther away from, which I was being taught doesn't exist, it's not real. This is real, material is real. Psst, that's real. We struggle to combat disease at its symptomatic end rather than to create conditions of health in self and earth through proper living. That is such a mouthful, beloveds. That is such a mouthful. We struggle to combat disease at its symptomatic end. COVID. That's all I gotta say. COVID. We struggle to combat disease at its symptomatic end. COVID. COVID is it's not real. People that's getting the shot is gonna kill you. They're just this and that and that and that and this and this and this and that and that and this. And now, well, I guess COVID was real. I guess all those people did die from COVID. But you know they would have died anyway, so blah, 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 blah. And you know the shot killed a lot of people. They had allergic reaction to the shot. Yeah. Symptomatic. You know? Because we treat the symptoms instead of the disease. What's causing the disease? We don't treat the ignorance. The mental health. Oh, we don't treat the mental health that causes the immune system to go, causes the disease in the organs and the tissue and the cell regeneration. Oh, no, dear, no, that's too forward thinking of you. We must remain in the past now. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. We suffer. We struggle to combat disease at its symptomatic end rather than to create conditions of health in self and earth through proper living, through proper conscious awareness, expansion of the spirit, through wisdom and knowledge of existence existing. We cry for the suffering, hungry victims of societal abuse, but do little to create a new society. Oh, we gonna pray for them. Oh, you know that AR killed 1,000,000 people. They went into the church, they went into the synagogue, they went into the mosque, they killed brown people, they killed white people, they killed little people, they killed big people, they killed and killed with the gun, they killed and they killed some more. But we won't regulate the gun. No. We do little to create a new society, but we feel sorry for the victims. It's been a year since the people in Buffalo died. It's been how many years since those kids in whatever massacre happened? We feel sorry for them. How many laws have been conceived? How many laws have been produced? How many laws are on the books to stop feeling sorry? How many laws are there that will hold people accountable? How many lawgivers are there that you voted or not voted into office who represent you, who represent your voice, and you don't even know them? Wouldn't know what they looked like if somebody pointed them out to you, because you have no interest in it from this level, from your neighborhood, local level. You only care about the federal level. Well, the president is supposed to do this. No, well, the president can't do this if this, that, and the other isn't done. And if this, that, and that, if they put the judges in the Supreme Court and if they blocked this and they blocked that and they did this and they did that, then guess what? President's hands are tied. Roe versus Wade. Oh, well, they said they weren't going to do. Oh, they did it though, didn't they? Who governs the Supreme Court? Oh, nobody. They do what the hell they want to do. And they stay in the position until they die. Wow. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Change happens when you change. How you accept something, how you agree with something, how you conceive something, how you tolerate something, how you become vocal about something, or how you remain silent about something. Something has to change in order for something else to change. We cry for the suffering, hungry victims of societal abuse, but do little to create a new society. We give our days to society's jobs, our children to be taught in their schools the very values whose results we see and abhor. Children killing children. I wonder where they learned that from. Who's teaching our children to kill? Who's teaching our children not to be able to resolve their frustration, their anger, their emotions, their sensations, their sexual urges, their sexual needs, their sexual understanding of themselves as sexual beings. We give our days to society's jobs, our children to be taught in their schools, society's schools. Public schools teach public education. Private schools teach private education. In order to get a better job, you have to have a private education. So you're casting a system. The roles are there. The resumes are what they are through the existence. The value and the revaluing is there based on the gerrymandering and the zip codes and the area codes, the social security numbers. The parties, Republican, Democrat, liberal. What does it all mean? What is it all doing? Who is it benefiting? The past. It's not benefiting the future. It hasn't changed. Not a single damn thing. Why is that? Because people are okay with settling. Because they're okay with suffering. Because it's familiar to them. It's from their past. They wouldn't know what to do. In an existence where they weren't suffering, traumatized, in pain, being bullied, having trolls, having people killing each other, having people raping each other, having wars. Who can imagine a world outside of that? What did you say again? We're captivated. We're captivated by the trickster. But we're so intelligent. We're smart. Human beings are the smartest being on the planet. We're smarter than animals. We're superior. We're superior, and we're living like this. We're existing like this. Millennia after millennia after millennia after millennia. We must rise. Let me go back up here. We give our days to society's job, our children's to be taught in their schools the very values whose results we see and abhor. We suffer through relationships that stifle creativity and spirituality. I can't be myself. I have to be what you want me to be in order to be attractive, in order to have value. I can't be my spiritual self. I've got to wear a mask. I've got to be a certain size. I've got to fit into this box. This box has to be checked, and that box has to be checked, and this box has to be checked in order for me to have an accumulated value of what you will put up with and what you won't, what you will accept, how you will judge me, my value, or if I'm good enough, what I can expect, what I can settle for. We suffer through relationships that stifle creativity and spirituality so that we don't have to risk being our greatest self. And that is why we never get out of the loop, because we don't trust ourselves outside of that loop. We're addicted to the trauma and the drama and the suffering. Better the devil that we know than the devil that we don't know. This is what feeds your spiritual conscious awareness. This is what suppresses you. This is what oppresses you. It's nothing outside of you. It's, how does that go? These values that we stand upon, that we do hold. How does that constitution or that pledge go? Oh, the ills of the world are great indeed, and we love to feel victimized and abused. But there is another part of us that emerges as we rise above any of these conditions. And from our liberated view, we see that we pulled ourselves up by our very own bootstraps, whether from our own determination or the help of God, as we allowed it to work through us. And we want to show others the way. This is a big step, a good step, but not the last step. Hierarchy, superiority, preference of powers and principalities. Do you prefer the devil, the suffering, the darkness? Or do you prefer the peace, the hope, the light, the power to ascend? This is the grace. This is the wisdom in which each of us has been seated. This is the divine inheritance. This is the choice. This is the ability to know ourselves. It's not easy. Anyone. We must also rise above the struggle of others. It is a blessing to get beyond one's own limitations, but lo and behold, you are then confronted by an entire world of suffering beings. So you've you've expanded your consciousness, and then you're bombarded with, everybody else is still so far behind, God. Oh my God, God. That's when you have to understand once again, okay, wisdom knows better than you. The primal healing must take place, and you have to allow it to take place in stages, just as it did with you. You can't rush it. Everything has its time. Stay in your center. Stay in your spirit. Endure. the multiverse. Endure the chaos. Endure the observation. Endure being observed. Endure the realization of being realized eternally. So, rise above your struggles. Rise above everyone else's struggles. You can feel sorry for them. You can feel compassionate for them. But you know that it's their choice. And whether they listen or they choose not to listen, that doesn't stop you from speaking the truth in the way. Your story as it existed, the way you got to where you got. Anyone who works in the field of social service knows that what a burnout it can be to try to help others by material means. Admittedly, help can be given. Money, food, medicine, and shelter are immediate satisfiers, but the problem is eternal. If that's my favorite Janet Jackson song. If everything, the money was there. Everybody had a house. Everybody had clothes. Everybody had a job. Everybody had money. Everybody had food. Everybody had a relationship. Everybody had this. The struggle would still be eternal. To maintain, to still expand your spiritual conscious awareness is an eternal struggle. One that has to be accepted, not as bondage, but as a gift, as an inheritance, as a maturation, spiritual maturation process. Different consciousness will help you along the way. You are not alone in this. Just remember always that you are spirit before you are flesh. You have to reverse the psychosis and the psychology and the sycophancy of the egoic desire, that narcissistic I am has to take a seat, backseat, with love. Just like you have to put your child in a car seat, turned around the other way, until they reach a certain age. Then you can turn them around. And then finally you can take them out of the car seat. It's for their safety. Think of your cosmic safety, your constant reincarnations. Anyone who works in the field of social services knows what a burnout it can be to try to help others by material means. Admittedly, help can be given. Money, food, medicine, and shelter are immediate satisfiers, but the problem is eternal. It can be completely solved, by changes in consciousness, just like the awakenings you made when you realized you could do something for yourself. When I realized, finally, and I'm still in the process, I am not my mind, I am not my feelings, I am not my thoughts, I am not this body, I am not this appearance. I am not the sum total of the suffering. I am the expansion of the spiritual conscious awareness in the flesh. That my ancestors on this planet have been waiting for me to reach. And it is a good thing. It is a peaceful thing. It is a loving thing. It's a loving way to be, to exist, to know, to be one with. It reestablishes and revalues the suffering, the resentment, the grief, the anger, the pain, because you understand the witness as the observer and as the observee, the one being observed. And with that, there's a wholeness and a holiness that takes root. And that's what the primal will to know oneself is. That is self-inquiry. This does not mean you must not offer material help if the opportunity is before you. You must follow your conscience. That is your spiritual growth. And as you awaken, your greater spiritual power will have more effect on the world than any good deed you ever did. It is your love, kindness, and generosity that help the world. Your offerings are simply the material representations of your inner growth. Everything that I say comes from the shit that has been transmuted by me through my senses and sensibilities, my spiritual senses and spiritual sensibilities, that has expanded my spiritual conscious awareness. And that is what I share. That is what I show. That is what the shine is. That is what I radiate. And that's the healing that's taking place. This is your spiritual growth. And as you awaken, your greater spiritual power will have more effect on the world than any good deed you ever did. It's not about what I do or what I did. It's about being. And it's about maintaining that being. And it's about witnessing and observing that way of being. And by doing so, expanding the spiritual conscious collective, individually and collectively. And this is a cosmic achievement. It is your love, kindness, and generosity that help the world. Your offerings are simply the material representations of your inner growth. Consequently, you must seek the material offering to solve your problems. You must not seek the material offering to solve your problems. When you have someone coming up to you and say, offering you this world, reject this world. It's an illusion. No matter how pretty, no matter how sparkly, no matter how much money, no matter how many trips, vacations, clothes, blah, 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 whatever they can manifest and materialize, its value is shit compared to your spirituality and what you can manifest through your spirituality. So don't get fooled by the trickster or the devil within your own being through your desires, through your senses. Understand who you truly are. Consequently, you must not seek the material offering to solve your problems. You must not eat the fruit of the garden from that tree. You must not eat of that tree. When I say don't eat of the tree, don't eat of the damn tree. Consequently, you must not seek the material offering to resolve your problems, but those spiritual qualities higher than your own. Those spiritual qualities higher than your own. And some people want to say, oh, you deny yourself this pleasure, this and that and that. Are you denying? You're denying yourself the suffering that comes along with it. That's what I'm denying. I'm loving myself enough to deny myself the suffering of having to learn that lesson. I've learned that ain't nothing down that road that I want, baby. Not a dang on thing. Been down it enough, too many lifetimes. Okay? Than to keep recircling it and saying, oh, okay, I'll eat it again. I'll eat this fruit again. I'll give me a bite again. Or what happened again? Oh, well, death. Okay. That's okay. Live. Life. The veil has been removed. The lie has been removed. It's not sweeter over there. This way, the trickster is foiled. You are freed. The veil is lifted. The devil is no more. And that was that card. That's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned. I have one more after this one, and it is going to be what it is, beloveds. This is Mother with Wisdom. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to my Blog Talk Radio show. It is what it is, Mother with Wisdom. Please Follow me on Facebook, Valerie Ames Middlebrook. If you enjoy the food at my table, the spiritual food at my table, please feel free to indulge yourself, to indulge your spirit. We are one in this great journey, beloveds. No matter where you are, in frequency or spectrum, we're one. We're one. So once again, thank you. Namaste, beloveds.